Please work. Okay. And we are live now. If someone is around, 3 people are here. If you can hear me fine, then please let me know in the comments, in the live chat. Okay. Waiting for someone to join in and confirm that it's working. Hey, Amitav. Hey, Kunal. Thank you for confirming that you guys can hear me. Thank you for tuning in. And today I can see your comments. Thank you, Bernard, for joining in, man. Today, Tom will not be joining us, who is also known as Dev Gummy Bear on Twitter. He has some personal stuff that he is taking care of, so I guess he will not be joining us. Thanks, Amitav. Appreciate it, man. Hi, Samuel. Okay, so I guess we can get started. Let me share my screen. Okay. So in the previous stream, we left at making an API call to Shopify, and this was the result of that API call. We were wondering about this container property, that why it is returning a container, and do we need to use this property to get the result here, for example. We were wondering if we do need it, but it turns out that we don't need to specify that because this property is implementing array access interface from PHP. So we can just loop through the result normally and get the data inside a loop. So yeah, that's where we ended our last stream with Tom. Today, we are going to look into Shopify Polaris site and why we need it. So let's go to polaris.shopify.com and try to understand what it is and why we need it. So Shopify Polaris is a design system developed by Shopify to help Shopify app developers to make the app's UI, user interface, and also user experience to some extent look like Shopify admin itself. So if we go to Shopify admin and let's go to products table or a form, and we see this beautiful UI with loading and everything, and this listing. And if we try to go, okay, let me make it full screen. Okay, and if we try to add a new product, you have a loud mouse. Yeah, and I have a loud keyword too. It's a mechanical one. Okay. We are having internet problems again. Okay, so we see this really good form and these controls. So what Shopify wants from app developers, and they suggest us that your apps should look like this with this kind of UI, so that when merchants go from Shopify admin to your app, they must not feel like they have come somewhere else. So they should feel that they are still inside Shopify admin, because our app also loads inside Shopify admin. So that's why they recommend Shopify Polaris framework, and they ask from developers to use that. So this is the library they developed, and they also provided us with React components. Let's take a look at that. Okay. My internet is putting me to shame again. Or maybe it's just Shopify websites doing some things. Okay, for example, we go to the forms component and we have this lots of components built for us that we can just copy and paste and use them. So let's go to a date picker, for example. Here we have date default picker and we have range date picker, every kind of stuff, and the code is also provided. So as we can see that we just need to provide some props and we can then use this component in our code, and the output looks like this, which isn't showing inside this iframe. Okay, here it is. So here it is the output of a date picker, an example React component from Shopify Polaris Library. Okay, and let's take one more look, one more component, and this is how the text field will look like, and its code is provided in React component form and also the HTML form. We can also use this HTML and we can use it inside our Laravel Blade components. But as you can see, the HTML that it spits out from React component is really not accessible, and all these extra divs, it makes a little bit complex to use the HTML form. So that's why we decide to use Polaris with the React components so that we can easily use it and get our work done. Cool. So I hope that answers the question of why we want to use Polaris React components, and what is actually Polaris. The second question that I want to address is why we want to use Inertia Js with Polaris and Larval. So let's go to Inertia Js website. And as some of you might know, that Inertia JS is like a library which sits between Vue.js or React or even Svelte and a backend, which can be Laravel or Ruby on Rails. And it's like a communication between the backend and the front-end framework. So it allows us to send the data from Laravel or any other backend that it supports as props to the front end. So we can actually send the data that we want to send to our front end using props from using Inertia JS. Okay, so we will be looking at this in the code. So that will hopefully clear things up, that how it's all working. The point that I want to make here is that if we want to build a Shopify app using Polaris, one option is to use React components. So if we are going to use React, then we are almost going to build an SPA. And for an SPA, we need routing, we need state management and everything. So instead of using tools like React Router and Redux for state management, or maybe even using React Context API for doing advanced state management or anything else, so why not just stick with Larval and use Inertia JS to make the state and routing possible with Laravel? So that's the only reason I use Inertia JS to build my Shopify apps. And even at my previous company, Addition, they were using Inertia JS, and on the back end it was Laravel, on the front end it was Shopify Polaris, and they took it to another level by using TypeScript in it. So I hope that answers the question that why we want to use Inertia JS with Laravel and Polaris React components. Okay, so we are going to dive into the code now. If you have any questions up until now, you can leave it in the comments and I will try to answer them. Cool. Okay, so here we were in the last in the last stream. So we can take it from here. As we can see, it's a home route that is being loaded inside Shopify, and we have a middleware applied verify.shopify that's taking care of authentication with the Shopify. So yeah, okay, let's move on from here and let's see. Okay, Chrome doesn't open on full screen, so let me just minimize it. Okay, so first of all, we are going to set up Inertia in our project with React adapter. Okay, I am mostly using PHP Storm now, but I don't have a license for another user, so I'm just sticking with VS Code. Okay, so first of all, we need to install a front-end adapter for Inertia Js and also a back-end adapter. So let's just take a look at the instructions that they provide us for the installation side so that we get the up-to-date everything. Okay, so on the back-end, we need to install this package. Okay, and we also need to do this. We need to set up a root template, and by default it uses a file named app.blade.php, but we can also change it inside app service provider using set root view if you want to use another, for example, another view called default.blade.php. And we also need to create a middleware. So first of all, let's set up this. And let's try to create a view. I don't have the extensions, so just bear with me when I make these files manually. Okay. As you can see, this inertia tag, it will spit out the div that will be used when we are going to bind it to front end. We will see that later. After that, we need to publish this middleware. Okay, not that. Okay, this middleware has been published. After that, we need to register this middleware inside the web middleware group of Laravel so that it applies to all the web routes of our application. And it must be at the end, I guess. They mentioned that. Yeah, as the last item in your web middleware group. Cool. This middleware also provides a method for version. Let's take a look at handle inertia requests middleware. So it provides a version method, and it also provides this share method, which allows us to manage some state, some data globally inside the React components or Vue components. So whatever the data we are going to put here, for example, I'm going to put some ID, and it's 123. This ID will be available to all the React components using a hook, which is called use page, and we are going to look into that a little bit later. And that's how we can, sorry about that. This is how we can create responses for Laravel inside the controller when we are going to render a component, a React component from the controller. And this is how you pass the props from Laravel to the front end. We will come back to it later. Now let's go to the client side of Inertia. And we need to install two libraries. One is Inertia core itself, and the other one is Inertia React adapter. And let's try to pull this in. Okay, while it's initializing, we can take a look at further. So we are importing React and React render from React DOM. After that, this is functionality provided by Inertia, and what it's trying to do is it's trying to resolve the components inside the pages directory, which we will just create in a moment, and then passing the props to app component and the element of this. Okay, they have changed quite a lot of things since I have last used it, but basically what it is doing is trying to set up the ID app element that we just created inside app.play.php, and it's trying to initialize whatever it can find inside the pages directory, and they will be React components. How to load a page component, as we can see here. Let me check if it's installed. Okay, it is installed, but we also need to install React and React DOM. So yeah, let's do that while we're here. And these two dependencies are also installed. Let's just make sure that we have everything we need to run Inertia with React. Okay, so React 17 is here, and Inertia and everything. Okay, cool, we are good to go. And let's try to next update your main JavaScript file to boot your Inertia app. Main JavaScript file would be app.js. And let's try to put it in here. And we need to create a pages directory inside this directory. Cool. And inside that, we are going to put our React components. So let me just quickly make a React component. For example, dashboard.jsx, and I'm sure there is a and let's return some HTML from here, dashboard, so that we can know that it is working. Cool. Okay, so now that we have front-end installation and the back-end installation, let's now try to return an inertia response, return this component from Laravel controller. So I'm going to create a controller, or maybe we can try to do npm install so that we also get the dependencies that Laravel requires. Okay. What's it saying? JSX isn't supported. So yeah, let's go to Webpack, and we can do this, I guess, so that it downloads the Babel preset React. And as we can see, it's installing that. Please run npm mix again. and it's successfully compiled. Wow, it's really fast nowadays. And let's try to make a controller. Called dashboard controller. And it's created. Dashboard controller. From here, we can, okay, my templates are not in here, so I will have to manually type that. Now here we need to specify an inertia response, and this is how it looks like. Use inertia, and we are going to use the render method. After that, we are going to tell it the component name that is inside the pages directory. So we don't need to specify pages/dashboard. We just need to specify the dashboard component. That's about it. It is a simple, it is an inertia response in its simplest form. So we are telling that to the front end that we are going to return an inertia response, which will then render this dashboard component. Cool. So after that, maybe we can now create a route file. Oh, sorry, route. We need to, okay. Let me just comment it out. And here, what we can do is return that dashboard controller index. Now we have a route, and the middleware is already applied. And from its index method, we are returning an inertia response. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to reload the app. And it is working. We have successfully rendered our first React component from Laravel using Inertia.js. And I'm going to show you something that we will try to solve for the next period. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are going to create another component and another controller, maybe, and we will try to navigate between these two components, and we will then see that a problem exists and we need to solve that. So first of all, let me show you the problem. Okay. New file, for example, we have about.tsx. Just copy, paste that. And after that, we are going to have a link. I guess we need to use inertia link here, and it will be towards the dashboard. So what I'm basically trying to do is create two components and then create navigation between these two components. Cool. And similarly, inside the dashboard, we are going to add a link for about component. Similarly, inertia link and about the link will be about. Okay, so we have two components, about and dashboard, and we are trying to navigate between these two components. And let's also create a route for about component. So maybe we can just group these routes. We need to apply middleware. This one. Okay. You're confusing me now. Out middleware and then group. So we have it here, and let's try to copy, paste it in here, remove this middleware. Maybe we can just have a method in dashboard controller for this about. Cool. Now let's go to dashboard controller. Ideally, we will have a separate route for that, or maybe even just a route view that we can return. No, I guess we cannot because we need to return inertia response. And here we are specifying the component name that we want to render on this route. Let me touch on that. And I wonder if we can. Okay, cool. So let's go to our front end and see if we have the navigation here. Okay, so, and when I try to navigate from from dashboard page to about page, we can see this error, which is saying that session token is invalid. So in the previous stream, we talked about session tokens and how Shopify allows us to authenticate our app with the current shop using this session token, and it sends us this session token so that we can identify which shop is logged in and we can make the requests to that shop. So in the previous stream, we were just using the package, which is OAssist Laravel Shopify package. Yes, we are in the full screen now. Come on. This talk is. Anyone have any idea if I can? Come on. So the package that we are using is this one, and it automatically handles the session token thing. But now we are not using the views that this package provides by default. And since we are not using the views, we don't have the token handling logic in it. And that's why we need to deal with this on our own. And we need to deal with the session token thing. So how we can do that? First of all, let me just give you an idea about what is session token. it will be inside the vendor because I published them. And if we can go to this partial, we can see here that it is retrieving token from Shopify util package and then adding it to different libraries that this package can be used with. For example, if we are using jQuery, then it will attach this session token in the authorization header. And if we are using Axios, it will attach this session token in the authorization header so that we can authenticate with Shopify and know that which shop is logged in and which shop is logged in and which shop is interacting with our app. So we need to deal this on our own since we are not using this anymore. And this is particularly useful when we are building a basic or with core Laravel using blade file instead of Polaris React components or any other library. So the endpoint is that we need to deal with this on our own, and we need to attach this header to the Axios. Why Axios? Because Inertia Js is using Axios under the hood, and it is making Axios to make these inertia requests, and it needs this header to be able to identify the shop. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we can see it's requiring two libraries, AppBridge and AppBridge Utils from the CDN unpackage, and it's trying to initialize this thing. So we need to do the same, but we are going to do this inside the app.js file, not inside our blade. So what we can do here is just reuse this logic and put it inside app.blade here, and it will work. But then we also need AppBridge and other utilities from Polaris in our app.js file. And I'm not sure if this will be available inside app.js. And also inside also these components that we are trying to build. So yeah, let's go ahead and didn't minimize that. Okay, so we have set up inertia, render, and render another, try to navigate, and we are facing this error of invalid session token. So we need to pull these libraries, AppBridge React and AppBridge Utils. Let's go ahead and do that. npm install Shopify Polaris and Shopify AppBridge, Shopify AppBridge React, and Shopify AppBridge Utils. These are all the libraries that we need to install. Okay, what's it saying? Could not resolve dependency. 16.90. Okay, so I guess Shopify Polaris does not support React 17. So what can we do here is just update it to React 16 and do 16.9.0 and also the same for React DOM. And run npm update first. Maybe also close it. Hopefully it works. Okay. React 16 is installed now, and let's try to install it again. Please go through. Oh, Shopify app bridge not found. Okay, maybe you just need Shopify app bridge React. Cool. So now we have Shopify Polaris installed, and also the Shopify app bridge React and Shopify app bridge Utils. We need these libraries to make our app inside Shopify admin. Inside that iframe, we need Shopify app bridge, and the Shopify app bridge utils package provide us with the session token thing that we need to do now. Cool. Okay, so let's head back to here and let's see what they are trying to do when they are dealing with session token. First of all, if we can DOM content loaded, okay. Here they are. Retrieve token is yeah, I think we only need this part. Retrieve token, and then we need to keep retrieving the token after the specified interval, which Shopify suggests only 2 seconds. We need to get this session token every 2 seconds from Shopify. Okay, so when we are creating, where we are creating this app, we are creating this app inside the default, and create app, create app. Where is this create app coming from? From the app bridge. Okay, let's try to do it inside the app.js. Or maybe inside the bootstrap.js, because we already have windows.axios here, and we just need to attach the authorization header inside here. So let's try to think about how we are going to. Let me also open Shopify documentation for app bridge. Getting started. Okay, this is how package is doing it. This is how we want to do it. And it's importing from Shopify app bridge. I wonder why couldn't we install that package? Because we do need it. npm install Shopify app bridge. Okay, maybe we had some spelling mistake or something. And so in order to create the app, we need API key and the host. These will be, API key is provided inside the Shopify. Yeah, Karan. Thanks. ये Axios क्या है? Why Inertia don't I need the API? Sorry, Tanzim and Dipjit. First of all, Dipjit, Axios is a library which allows us to make asynchronous requests to API endpoints. It's basically like jQuery, which has a $.ajax method to allow us to make asynchronous requests in JavaScript to our backend API endpoints. Okay, why Inertia don't I need the API? I'm sorry, Tanzim, I guess I'm not getting your question. We are not going to create the API. We are just returning inertia responses from our controllers inside the Laravel. That's the beauty of it, beauty of using Inertia JS, that we don't need to create API and then manage state on the front end using Redux or some other tools. We can manage the state on Laravel side. We can also manage the routing on Laravel side. So yeah, we don't really need the API thing. Okay, let's get back to it. And first of all, we are going to need this. Let's do it. Let's try to do it here. And that we are going to need, yes, that method is called get session token from Shopify AppBridge Utils. Cool. And after that, what we need to do is to create this retrieve token method, which is asynchronous and awaiting the session token. Okay. So, okay. Let's see. Retrieve token, and we need to store this as session token. Now that we have the session token, we need to assign it inside the headers of the Axios. What kind of apps can I make with Shopify and Larval? Okay, so Shopify is an e-commerce platform, right? And it has all kinds of things like inventory management, order management, and shipping and everything. It has lots of modules. So merchants can need anything that they want to build for themselves, and then they can reach out to developer. That Shopify does not offer this functionality natively, but they have this API that you can use and build an app for us. And if you go to Shopify App Store, you can see that there are lots and lots of apps, and there are even categories, which is store design, marketing, conversion. I think there are more than 5,000 apps currently on Shopify App Store, and believe me, they are making a lot of money, even millions. I hope that answers your question, Tanzim. Okay. Sorry, I have a little bit of focus problem when I try to answer the questions. Then we need to keep retrieving the token until the specified interval, which is 2 seconds. I'm just thinking how we can get the session token out here so that we can, maybe we can, do you have some ideas, guys, in the chat? Do you have some ideas how we can get the session token and still keep retrieving it, and also being able to assign inside the headers? For example, like this. Position. Token. And here we want to have the token so that it gets sent with every request. What can we do here? Okay, first of all, let's try to get this create app, and maybe we can do what the app was doing, what the package was doing. We can assign it to window variable and then access it down here, right? We can do that. Okay. And then we need to call this method, keep retrieving token. But as we can see that we need to provide the app variable to it. And how do we do that? We can do that using the create app from Shopify app bridge library. Create app. What does it need? It needs a config, and the config was, hey Tom, thanks for being here, man. We are missing you already. I'm really confused right now. Okay, so this is the configuration that we need to create the app on Shopify app bridge. And how do we get the API key and the host? So let's see how the package is doing these things. And maybe you can just reuse that logic. Default. Okay, we have the API key using this, and we have the shop origin, and we have the host from the request itself. It's something that, and the host specifically is something that Shopify provides us when a request is sent to the app home route. And there is also force redirect, which redirects our app inside the Shopify iframe if we try to load it outside of the Shopify. So what I tend to do here is I go ahead and just spit out some hidden element and the variables that we need. So if we need the Shopify API key, it's located inside Shopify app, and here we have this API key. So I can just go ahead and try to access that. Okay, so now that we have the API key, next thing we need is host will be hidden, and the value will be request host. Remember, we are just trying to reproduce what the package already has and just use it for our own purposes inside the app.js file. And what else do we need? We need the shop origin too. So let's just go back, and how do we get the shop origin? We can get that to the currently authenticated shop and the name attribute. So shop origin is this thing, the My Shopify domain for any shop. We need this shop origin to make the API calls, and we also need it to initialize the app bridge component that Shopify provides, which we are trying to do inside the bootstrap.js. So we needed the API key, and how we are going to get that. Document the old document element by ID. We didn't give the ID, so yeah, maybe we can hit the header. What else do we need? We needed the host, and same thing. Maybe we can copy that. Host, and we also needed shop origin and force redirect to true. So that's how we are going to initialize our app bridge, and just also we make sure that we provide the IDs that we need. First one was API key, ID of host, and ID of shop origin. Cool. So we have this data, and now we have the app. Let's try to provide it inside here. We have the retrieve token and keep retrieving token by providing the app, and how this method is getting the app. Okay, we do need to provide it. But here we're passing that. Okie dokie. And here we are setting the session token inside the authorization header. Let's see if it works. And session token is malformed. Okay, this might be a very long night. So this was the thing I was talking about in the last stream with John, that we need to provide these session tokens. Otherwise, we will not be able to navigate inside the app. We may be able to load our home page, but we will not be able to navigate because we do need this session token. Okay. Let's see what's going on here, and let's see if we have session token. There's a network. Okay. So if we try to make a request for 100 preview, session token is malformed, maybe set cookie, and bearer is undefined. So our session token is not going inside the authorization header. What are we doing wrong here? Okay, we have the retrieve token, keep retrieving token, but that's going to run after 2 seconds. So maybe we first need to call the retrieve token method. Oh, God. Okay, let's try to reload. Session token is still malformed. Come on. These are all the requests that Shopify itself is making. I don't know what they're doing with this. Maybe some kind of analytics. And response. Authorization bearer is still undefined. Oh, okay. Window.session token. We are getting the session token and then setting on the window object. What's going on here? Console.log here, and let's try to see what it is. No. Maybe there is something in the logs. Is there any error? No, it's not. Let's try to see what it is returning, right? And if we are indeed calling this method or whatever. Okay, it has the token, but it's not going. Okay, why not? Any ideas, guys? Retrieve token. Maybe this is an asynchronous function. So it's before it is completed, this thing is running. That's why it doesn't have the session token. But we do need to wait for the session token. Okay. What can we do to make it a little bit of wait, and then when it has the session token, it is then attached in the headers. Any ideas, someone in the chat? Let's take a look at token handler and how they are doing it. Wait. Okay. It's inside that retrieve token method. So maybe you can do the same. Okay. Session token. And we're calling. Let's try to move it up here so that Axios object is available on the top. Yeah, I guess now it will work. And it is working. So now we are able to navigate between two pages. One is dashboard, and the other one is the about page. Cool. So now we have pulled in Polaris Library with app bridge and app bridge utils, and we also handled the session tokens, and it is now being sent with each Axios request. Okay, now finally we can move on to some beautifully looking user interface using Shopify Polaris. Cool. Now let's go to the structure, and we can look at the page component. This is the page component provided by Shopify Polaris. Okay, and there are these different versions of this page that we can also use, but this version is showing all the components, all the subcomponents inside this page component. So as you can see, it has lots of things in it. But we are now just going to stick with something simple, and we are going to use layout component from Shopify Polaris, and let's see how we can use it inside our app, inside the dashboard component. So here we go. And we have layout component, but we do need to import it from Shopify Polaris. So really sorry guys, I don't have any extensions installed at the moment. I have just created another user on my company laptop, so I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so we have imported the layout component and the card component from Shopify Polaris package, and let's see if it works. I know it's not going to work because we do need to include the styling from the Shopify Polaris package. And I always forget the font for that. What is it? Shopify Polaris. Okay, I don't know. Let me just, what I do is I always copy it from my previous project. So I'm just going to do that. See if I have any project here. Okay, it is here. So yeah, discount resources CSS, and I guess it should be app.css. Okay, I don't have it. So Shopify Polaris, and I guess it was styles.css. I'm not sure about that. Okay, we'll know with time. And we do need to change the file extension because it provides the SAS for that. So it should be app.css, and inside the webpack, we need to change post CSS, CSS, and app.scss. Cool. Let's try to can't resolve resources. SAS loader. Okay. Guess we just need to npm install it. Or you maybe need to change something here in Webpack, because I think in Laravel 8, they changed from SAS to just plain CSS. But yeah, let's go ahead and install the SAS loader. Okay. And I think it's the problem with the path where we are trying to load. Module build failed. Unknown word. App.scss. Webpack and its problems. Hopefully it still exists. Resources, CSS, and CSS to public CSS. Please work. Okay, it compiled successfully, and I guess this is the path. No, it's not. And can't resolve Shopify Polaris styles.scss maybe. Nope. Okay, let's try to delve inside the node modules directory. Oh no. Uh-oh, we are going inside. Oh my God. Polaris distributable styles and styles.css. So I guess it is Shopify, Polaris, and then dist. Oh, okay, it worked. Cool. So now we should have the styling and we should have this card. Everything should be good to go. See if it works. Oh, it doesn't. Let's see. Card component. Consider adding error boundary. Missing app provider. Okay, cool. So what AppBridge and Shopify is telling us that you need to provide app provider component and then wrap all the component inside that app provider component. It is also documented in their docs. So let me just show you if I can find it. Here we need to use the provider component, or we can also use the app provider component, this one, like this. And inside this app provider component, we are then going to use the other components provided by Polaris. So let me just go and try to include app provider here. Try to wrap it inside the app provider. And hopefully it will work. Hopefully. Cool. And as we can see that we have this card, which is provided by Shopify Polaris, and it is looking beautiful, isn't it? Maybe some can disagree. And why it is full width? Maybe we need to provide the page component, and there is full width component available on the page, full width property here, I guess. Full width, yeah, it is available on the page component. But if we wrap it inside Google Chrome, now it is like a container, and our component is in there. So yeah, guys, this is Shopify Polaris now in action. And we are using Polaris components like card and layout to make our app look exactly like Shopify's own UI. Okay. After that, we are going to create an annotated layout, which I can show you in action inside Shopify maybe. Yeah, this is the annotated layout where we have a description section on the left side and this whole thing on the right side. This is the annotated layout, and most of the apps are using this. So we are also going to use this layout. For example, annotated layout, this one. So copy code. It's really easy to build user interfaces using Shopify Polaris when we are working with Shopify apps. Okay, do we need to import anything else? Yep, we do. We need to import form layout and also TextField. Oh God, Chrome. Come on. I promise I will fix this in the next stream maybe. And here we have an annotated layout, left side and the right side, and it's looking beautiful, isn't it? Next, we are going to create a resource list component, which is something like this that we have here on the products inside Shopify. So they also provided us with the resource list component to be used for the listing purposes. So for listing, they have data tables. These are used for something like providing analytics and something data that is summarizing something. We can use the data table for it. But if we are going to display something that is also clickable, something like a table, then we are going to use resource list component. This is how it looks like. But if we need, all its components. So if we are going to provide filters, it has that functionality, and it can also provide this checkboxes so that we can apply bulk operations on them. We are not going to look into all of these components, but maybe the basic one where we provide some data and render this inside this resource list. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that so that I can show you how we can pass data from Inertia and as a props and render it inside the React components in our Shopify app. So let's quickly do that. And what do we need? We need the layout maybe, layout.section. And inside this, we are going to have a resource list component. And what does it need? This Chrome thing is really bugging me. Okay. Set value, tag with query value, and it needs data like this, and bulk actions. Maybe let's just select the resource list, simple one, so that we have really simple code to work with. And let's just copy it, bring it back inside the resource list. Format. Okay, we do need to import some components. For example, resource item and author component, and also the text styling component. To work. Okay. We moved from our app. Let's go back to our app. And here we have this beautiful resource list. I'm going to maximize again and just quickly minimize again so that I don't have to click in the dock to open the Chrome. I don't know why when it's maximized, it cannot be accessed using Alfred. Maybe if someone has idea, please do let me know why it is not working. So the resource list component, it needs the item formation like this. It is an array of objects. We need to provide an identifier. The URL, when we click on that URL, it will take us to the detail page, and then the name and location. And inside the resource list component, we have the resource item component. So it's like Shopify Polaris is giving us control. Thank you, Edgar. You got this. Thanks, man. So inside the Shopify resource list component, we have resource item component. So that Polaris is giving us control on how our item looks like. So we can almost do anything inside the resource item. Here, this is the resource item. We are putting avatar and the name and the location here. We can also put anything else here. For example, tags, something like that. Just go ahead and use the badge component and adjust status, attention. So the purpose of showing this to you is that we have full control on this resource item component. As you can see, here we have this attention badge. Okay, now let's try to send this data that we are outputting in the resource list from our Laravel controller so that our inertia integration works, and then we can conclude our stream because this was the agenda. Let's go to dashboard controller. Just bring something. Okay, so whatever the data that we want to pass to dashboard component from our backend, we're just going to pass them from here as we pass it to a regular view. So, for example, what we were doing back inside our routes file in the beginning, we were fetching the products from Shopify, and we were then passing that, just die and dumping those products. But now what we are going to do is we are going to try and get the products and then send those products from our Larval controller to React component. Let's try and do that. So how we can access the current shop? We can access that using auth user. The package that we are using is taking care of all this. So it's really good to be able to use that package and know that it exists. controller. And we now have the products. Okay, but from these products, maybe we can just get their IDs, their names, their titles, and then pass it to the dashboard component. Maybe we can also just pass everything down. Let's see how it looks like. Do we get any error? Sorry. I also need to go to this dashboard component, dashboard, and we need to be able to receive the props. So how do we do that? Maybe we can consult with Inertia Js and see if they have changed anything. Responses. So this is how we created the response, inertia render. And okay. Pages. Shared data. There was a section for props here. Let's try to search. Protocol. Nope. Creating pages. Okay. So yeah, this is how we can get the passed in props. Persistent layouts. Yeah. So whatever is being sent from our backend can be accessed as a props inside here. And let's try and assign the items, products, and what are we going to access? We are going to access only the ID and the title from the products. Don't need this location thing because it's not available on the product. This render item is taking care of rendering the item component. And we have the title. We don't need the media because we have removed that. Okay, we just need the ID and title. Cool. Maybe let's keep it there. And this is just for accessibility purposes. Let's see if it works. I think it's going to break or something. Oh, it's here. So we only have one product in our store right now, but let's, for testing purposes, go ahead and add another product. For example, product 2. And let's see if it appears down here. Woohoo! It does. So, guys, we have made it all the way through here. We were able to fetch the products from the API of this, from the API. Using the API of this shop, we were able to fetch these products from Shopify, and we were able to display it inside a ResourceList component, which Shopify Polaris offers. And as we can see, it is now functional and it's looking beautiful. And we can use other components like filters and everything and make it really look like the Shopify ones, like here. So yeah, this was the stream about, and I think we have achieved that. If you do have any questions, Please leave your comments. I'm going to hang around for a few more minutes in case if you guys have any questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and really appreciate you guys joining me in the stream. It was fun to build this, and I have plans in order to keep working on this, and I have plans to cover all these components that Shopify Polaris offers, to build them on the fly and demo them. Sorry about that. So there are lots and lots of components that we can explore, lots of opportunities to make another videos, and I'm going to try recording some of them. So that will be new, something new. Okay. I guess that's that then. If you have any questions, you can still reach out to me on Twitter at ZubairMohsen33. I'm available, and I read all the DMs and try to respond to them. Just look at this design. I have been a fan of what they're doing with user interfaces and user experience at Shopify. It's really awesome. One of the best apps that we can refer to for UI and UX. And with Polaris, they provide all kinds of things that we can consider while building our apps. For example, they provide these illustrations, sounds, icons, data visualizations. For example, if our app is doing heavily with charts, then they also provide these guidelines to how to build them, and so that it's more useful to merchants. Look at this. These guys are doing wonders. Experiences, crafting, error messages. Okay, so cool. Thanks, Kernal. Thanks for hanging out, man. Really appreciate it. Okay. Thanks, man. I hope someone finds it useful, and when they are building their Shopify apps with Laravel or Polaris, they get some value out of this video. So yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead with our days, our nights, and let's meet again with another video. Thanks, everyone. Bye.